I am going to show you two things today. The first thing is how to use a timeline scene trigger, and I'll explain to you what that is. And then I thought we'd figure out how to actually make proper background preview when we are editing timelines. So what I've done here is make a little conversation with my queen, also known as a female drow, called Mintara. And then we'll investigate how to improve our timeline editing. The first thing we're going to do is make a timeline. So we go here, we press generate full copper, and we just overwrite the test timeline I made. I usually use a custom template to generate my timelines, and I've actually selected one from the base game. You can use whatever you want. You can look at my other videos to learn more about that. There are of course a lot of different settings here. I haven't really covered these, but you can edit the different types of camera shots that are generated. So I think we can maybe try to set maybe most of them as medium close, or you can edit whatever you like. Point being, for this tutorial I don't want a lot of really close shots. Okay. And there are other settings as well, but we will just make this one. And then what happens is that you will see a timeline preview. So this is the timeline preview, and then over here is the timeline of this fairly short conversation, and we can expand it to see the speakers. So now she turned purple because I've selected her, right? You can just unselect her. And then you will see that there are cameras generated, and in this case, a super short conversation, it actually just generated one camera, and it's this view. So I activated it here, and now we can see it's looking at Mintara. I'm going to actually add a transform to this camera because I want to adjust it. So what happens then is that you get a lot of different things you can edit, like where the camera is located. So this is the position of the camera looking at Mintara. Then you can rotate the camera if you wish, and you can do some other things. So I'll get back to that. But right now we see Mintara standing. Oi, I don't know why she's talking to Blackith, but this is representing the main character. And these two are standing in sort of a checkboard void of the AI grid. And there are some strangers standing behind the MC, and these would be peanuts, representing companions and how the companions would act. You can actually look at the peanuts here if you want the peanuts to do something in particular. But if you're just making something for the main character and you don't want to bother about possible companions, then you can just ignore these peanuts. Let's assign this conversation to Mintara. The easiest way to do that is just change her default dialogue, and then let's let's see if I remember what I called it. I think I called it Guide Mintara Convo. You can talk to her. Sometimes this happens. You just have to click OK on this module not loaded thing, and it should work. So let's try to talk to her. So I will talk to her from this direction. So you can see we are seeing the background in the correct direction from where we approached her. We can see we are standing here. And then let's try to approach her from a different direction. Let's hope it doesn't crash. So maybe from behind this vase. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So perhaps we will see where the MC is standing. Yeah, we didn't, but anyways, you saw that it's changed dynamically, right, where we're talking to her. So what you could see happen there was that as I moved the MC, the view on Mintara changed. So this is how timelines in Baldur's Gate 3 usually work. So if you're walking around with your companions, you will see whatever background is actually behind the character in the environment. And then there are some scenes that are more elaborate where you want to fix the position of the person you're talking to and your characters in a specific spot, so that will never change dynamically. This is true for a lot of the like dramatic scenes in the game, like killing the night song or, you know, ending Cazador, things like that. So I will show you how to do that. And we do that with the TimelineSceneTrigger. So you will search in the root templates for a TimelineSceneTrigger, and you will just place it. So let's say that we want to see Mintara and we want to have these vases in the background. Maybe we can even see Dal there on the ground. Actually, let's focus on that. Okay, like so. You have selected the trigger. You can go to the sidebar of the trigger. Of course, make sure to not search for anything. And then you can assign a dialogue resource ID. So we want to place the dialogue that should be fixed to this position in here. So that would be guide Mintara Convo. So we have assigned it. And one important thing is that you can select optional so that the dialogue will only play in this location if you are inside of the trigger. So right now, regardless of where we are approaching Mintara from, the conversation will play out from this direction, from the trigger direction. So let's see. Let's go into the trigger area. It will play out like this. You see the wall behind Mintara. Let's go,
there we go
to the wall. Let's talk to her again. You can see she's still standing in the same place. So right now, the cinematics are not changing dynamically. And then you can sort of fix her in that position, which could be very useful if you want to move the character into specific place in the scene, like if we wanted her to sit on top of the vase, for example. But that would be very difficult when the preview is looking like this, right? Because right now we can't see what's around Mintara. So let's see if we can fix that as well. So first of all, I want to thank Hyperspace Towel and Galgant for teaching me these things. It took me way too long to implement this in my own work, as I am not particularly blessed with intelligence. So let's see what we can do. So we have this I was going to say TimelineSceneTrigger, but we have selected construction filling. So let's go into triggers up here, and then you can see the triggers. So we have some different ones. I would think that the one we want is TimelineSceneTrigger 1. We go back to the timeline panel and we can add location. So let's see. Timeline. SceneTrigger 001. Da 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 da. So now Mintara is standing in front of the vase in the way this trigger is oriented, and now it's a lot easier to edit what's going on with her. So let's put her on top of the vase then, shall we? In order to get Mintara on top of the vase, we will have to add a transform to her and change her location. So right now we are kind of looking at her a bit closely. So perhaps we'll first go down to the camera and add a field of view, which means that we can sort of zoom the camera out like this. And we will try to move her. So how do we move a character? You can set this for the entire scene, or you can do it manually by each line. So I'll show you the sort of more time-consuming version. The y-axis is up and down in the world. So let us edit it. For example, to, whoop, that was a bit far up. We are going to go down. You see the camera is following her. Which is a little unfortunate since we... Okay, let's move her a little bit down. Okay. It's very nice of the camera to follow her. The thing is, sometimes that doesn't really work correctly. Let's try to just fix it to the scene, and we can move the camera. I'm back down to the camera again. And let's just rotate the camera a little bit. So I added a node to rotate it, and you can sort of slide it. So I'm just trying to get the vase in the middle of the shot, and we are going to have her sit on top of it. Right now you can see the sort of lighting in the scene, so we can also go to view mode and set base color. It's a bit easier to see what's going on, although it looks kind of scary. We're going back up to Mintara. We're going to adjust her position, and now hopefully the camera will not follow her. We want to move her a little bit backwards to sit on top of that vase. Oop, that was not backwards. We have to go minus, perhaps minus 1.5, perhaps minus 1.7, something like that. Let's have her sit. Then we can add an attitude event or an animation. Let's add an animation. Perhaps is there something like perching? No, there is not. Perch. Harpy. Harpy perching. Will that work? Let's see. Oi. She's perching very far away. We're not going to bother with this one. We're going to just have her sit as an attitude event. Sit on the chair, perhaps. And then we will move her a little bit up. 1.5 maybe. This is of course taking a bit of time, but now let's move her a little bit forward to make it look a little bit better. We don't want our queen to be uncomfortable after all, but she can sit like this. That's fine. Okay. And then you see she is sitting here. It doesn't really carry over into the next one. So for the next one, let's just move the camera and... Oh, please don't crash. Okay. Yeah, so the timeline can crash sometimes. Make sure to save often. And let us... Yeah, okay, so she's still sitting. I will show you why she's still sitting. And that's because we haven't changed the attitude event. So you can either add a new one, or we can just move her here as well. So I will do that, edit the timeline a little bit, and then we'll see how it plays out. Actually, for this, for her second reply here, I'm just going to see if we can see what's going on the ground. Okay, so we cannot see another character here. So I guess characters are not part of the preview. At least not characters, not part of the conversation. But if we're lucky, we've angled this correctly to see something interesting on the floor. Let's just zoom out a little bit here as well. And now we have very comfortably edited the timeline because it's been quite easy to see what is actually items in the surrounding environment. Let's see how it plays out. We should be able to approach Mintara from any direction. Aha, there she is, sitting on top of the vase. Now, the vase is for some reason not visible in the timeline. And the Lyria is not laying dead on the ground. How interesting. Let us try to fix it. Alright, so for now I couldn't quite figure out if it's possible to have these items in the world actually show up, but we will do a workaround, which is to actually add them to the scene. So we are going to add two things, and we will add them as templates. First of all, we're going to add the vase. So you go into this triangle looking thingy, which is add templates. We'll find the vase. Now we can actually see it in the timeline preview, so it should be fairly easy to find the right one. It's looking something like that, but with the top right. So let's just go through all the vases. Ah, this one. Yes, we want this one. We will now add it. and then it shows up as a timeline template down here. And there are a few things we have to do. We have to show the actor. We have to add the transform because we want to be able to move it. We can expand this. So show actor. And then is there anything else we want to do? Not really. So now we have to figure out where it is. We have added it to the scene. We are moving around the scene in a very interesting way. Let's see. So where is it? It's probably at the MC's feet, like right in front of the MC. So to go back. Yeah. So we want to move this thing that's in front of the MC's feet to under Mintara. Let's just, the Y position will be as is, and then we will change the Z position probably. Probably we want it to be bigger than it is. Probably set the scale to like 2. Ah, there it is. Okay, cool. We want to move it in the right direction. So let's see. Yeah, so that was 0, -2 maybe. So now we're getting somewhere. Very close to the position we want it to be in. It's probably a little bit bigger. Yeah. Okay, something like that. So you get the point. So maybe the scale is too big. We can change the scale to maybe something like this. Now it's really close to what we have standing around in the scene, like in the world. So we have now a vase in approximately the correct position. And one more thing we want is Deliria's dead body on the ground. Will we be able to do that? Yes, probably we will. We want to add, you could add an actor or we can add a template. It's easier to add a template when Deliria doesn't have any lines here. So let's see. She is a vampire spawn. She is called Deliria. This is a new Deliria. So I've had enough issues with new vampire spawn in my videos lately. Or we can add Deliria and just turn her around. I think that's what we'll do. So now we are adding Deliria. We are adding a transform because we want to be able to move her. And let's click it correctly, like so. And we want to show actor. She should be in here. And then she should not be in the previous one. Alright. And the issue now is that Deliria is probably somewhere else in the scene. So let's try to think about how to position her. We will give her a dead animation. So let's add the animation first and hope that that will position her body in a way that I don't have to spend a lot of time censoring, as I am apparently very bad at that. Let's see. Sleeping. We can actually add an attitude event. Because there should probably be an attitude event where she's lying down. She's lying on her back. I guess that will not be ideal, but let's see how it works. I'm thinking that the X position will have to change. Aha, you see a foot appear. Aha, and she is already censored. How lovely. That's great for us. Aha, she is lying right there. And we can add an emotion event. Attitude emotion, so we want to have her play dead. So we will add sleeping. So at least she's closing her eyes. She is moving slightly, but we will have to accept that. So it was fairly easy to put in the templates. So finally, let's see how the conversation now plays out. Mintara is sitting on top of a vase. We'll be asking the queen what she did to Deliria. And yeah. Oh shit. I'm censoring this. Yeah. So you saw one issue was that Dal suddenly laid down. You could have fixed that by adding an animation without an intro. But otherwise, you can see how useful it is to use a timeline scene trigger and how to use it to set up a preview and how that makes it a lot easier to actually add in templates and position them in the world. So I've spent ages modding without doing this, and this will save me a lot of time in the future. So I hope it's useful for you guys as well.